Disney once again kind of screwed this so badly that they had this movie come out like what, a year, 2 years after the roller coaster in Tomorrowland opened. Like they were trying these things should have happened together, as what I felt like, and it just didn't work out.
People are going to get on that roller coaster for the next 10 years and be like, what is this about again? I've never heard of this franchise.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, I've heard more people talk about that they rode the Tron roller coaster in Orlando than have gone to see this movie. Now, this is a weird one. I did not get to go see The Black Phone 2 this weekend, but my son did because I was sick all weekend. I didn't feel like sitting in a movie theater Friday night. But and he really enjoyed it. He loved it. But as of right now, where we're at with the box office, looking like it did about $46 million this weekend. Before we kind of get back to some of these other stories, like I said, let me pull this back in. Did you get to see it or anything yet, Blaine, or fan of the franchise?
I did not. I actually ended up going to see Good Fortune, the Keanu movie, instead because I had not seen the first Black Phone. But
how was that? I kind of wanted to see it, except for Aziz Ansari. I can't stand him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he wrote and directed it, but honestly, it's kind of a three-way split between him, Keanu, and then the other one that people, where the rubber meets the road, is Seth Rogen. So it's the three of them. So it's kind of, it depends on your opinion of these guys, but the lead role was split between the three. But it was actually not bad. It could have been fathoms worse, especially considering that it has like a religious element, and it managed to navigate all of that fairly well because it could have been a train wreck. And the end, like, goal message was much more positive than what's coming out of 90% of Hollywood lately, so
doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, this is real quick, the weekend wrap up for people asking about the Black Phone before we kind of get back into the stories with Twitch and some of these other things that we have on the docket tonight. Black Phone 2, they spent about $30 million reportedly to make this sucker. Did $42 million its opening weekend. Between $30 million in production, maybe another $30 to $40 million in global marketing, maybe not even quite that much. Usually horror movies do not command a tremendous amount of spend from that regard. This movie probably needs to do about between 120 and 150 million for its box office run to comfortably cover its costs. And then, of course, this being a Universal Comcast feature, they've got a big fat check coming from Netflix in a few months on top of that. So this movie will be fine. It's one of a typical horror movies. Hopefully I'll get to go see it. I will tell you that Renegade Jr. absolutely loved it. Absolutely flat out loved this movie.
It's got 12 days to Halloween. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we'll see a ramp up with this. I think we might see another little bump for The Conjuring at the same time. Going back to what you were mentioning, the Keanu Reeves, Aziz Ansari, and who else was in that one?
Seth Rogen.
No.
Yeah.
We said his name again. Every time we say his name, he's got another shot at a movie.
See that? I really wanted to go see it because it was Keanu and it looked completely crazy. And I was like, okay, this could be a lot of fun. But then I saw Seth and I saw Aziz, and I'm like, that's enough to make me not want to go see it. I just,
Yeah. That's the case for a lot of people.
That's this one right here. And I think that was probably part of the mistake. But the big one, of course, no surprise here, Tron Ares is basically flat dead. It did next to nothing in its second weekend. This will probably add somewhere about another $150 million in losses or close to it for Disney on the box office year. It doesn't look like this movie is even going to make back potentially its own marketing budget. So, which would have been easily at least $100 million in this day and age, considering what Disney usually spends. That would be $100 million would be kind of light for Disney for a production of this scale. So right now they're not even or roughly halfway to making back what they likely spent to market this film.
We looked at it. I think it's about a $600 million likely break even. I don't remember the exact stats on how we came to that in terms of the production versus marketing and all that, but I'll say this at 100.
Right.
At
102 for production, 124 marketing, 300.
That's right, and we rounded up. We figured that they blew the budget and hit 200. That's right. I remember now.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to hit 200.
But Valiant, here's the deal. This is not just bad. This is franchise ending bad. Like, you can't make another Tron movie. Bad.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's over.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, they needed phenomenal word of mouth and, doing the whole flip and not continuing it from Legacy or the original and any of that was just like the death nail for it. I mean, this should have leaned hard into Legacy, but also with 10 years of production and all that stuff, like these movies have always been critically panned. They've never done well in the box office. Like this was one that they had to do exactly what the fans wanted and they didn't, and they're paying for it.
They are paying for it badly. Yeah. No, completely. And I mean, I think that was a big part of it. And again, we drew a dichotomy between this and How to Train Your Dragon from earlier this year. And interestingly enough, it kind of ties into a story we have later about some of the most popular Halloween costumes this year. And no surprise, 6 of the top 10. Kind of figured that was coming.
Let me just emphasize real quick. I mean, super fast, how bad Tron is. Mm-hmm. People won't believe this. Tron Ares is likely to underperform John Carter, and that's not adjusted for inflation.
Right. Yeah. This is the write-up here from D'Alessandro. Tron Ares is at 103 million global for 10 days, which is not a great 2-weekend running cume for this attempt to reboot the franchise.
Understatement of the century.
Not a great attempt.
That's like being given a puppy and, you accidentally lose it out the window or something. Be like, well, first day of dog ownership is not going excellently.
Not going well. Yeah, it's not going too well. We had a mishap. What happened? The dog died. It's like,
flew out the window. Whoops. Not going the best.
Yeah, this is just dead as a doornail. But the reason that we drew the comparison of such a dichotomy between what happened with Tron and what happened with How to Train Your Dragon, even though they're not, people are wondering, how is that? Both of these owners, the IP owners, timed to, well, one did a much better job than the other, of getting these films out with major new attractions in the park. Okay? How to Train Your Dragon, Burke opened this year with Epic Universe. Matter of fact, Epic Universe opened up within 2 weeks of How to Train Your Dragon's theatrical release earlier this year in May. Okay? They were a great tie-in. How to Train Your Dragon basically, from what we could tell, broke even at the box office. It was a very expensive $200 million theme park commercial, by and large, that the audience has paid to go see. And Epic has done very well this summer. Burke, I can tell you, was next to Super Mario Brothers, was probably the most populated land. Burke was jammed full of kids this summer, okay? Now, Tron, Disney once again kind of screwed this so badly that they had this movie come out like, what, a year, 2 years after the roller coaster in Tomorrowland opened? Like they were trying, these things should have happened together, as what I felt like, and it just didn't work out.
People are going to get on that roller coaster for the next 10 years and be like, what is this about again? I've never heard of this franchise.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, I've heard more people talk about that they rode the Tron roller coaster in Orlando than have gone to see this movie.
This would be like having it's actually worse than having a John Carter roller coaster in Magic Kingdom. And for people who don't know, because some people don't know anymore, John Carter was a film that was so poorly received at the box office that Disney reorganized everything for filmmaking. And Tron Ares, without adjusting for inflation, is going to wipe it off the mat. Just send it away in memory in terms of underperforming. This makes The Lone Ranger look like Godfather Part 2.
I'll tell you right now, get ready for it. Black Phone 2 will do better than Tron Ares.
Yeah.
On 1/10 the budget.
Now, I have a question for you guys out of curiosity, because sometimes you see a correlation with this, sometimes you don't. The word of mouth from critics alone early for Ares was horrendous. Now, most people that I know and have seen don't loathe it or hate it, like the visceral reaction that's coming from kind of the critic sphere, right? So it's like, do we think that, especially with early reviews coming out, that with these big platforms, just kind of where it's like getting hammered on Rotten Tomatoes or wherever, is playing a role in some of these box office numbers? Because it feels like quite often they do. And I wonder if it hadn't had such a negative early reception, if it would have done better, because most people that I talk to that have personally seen it, even if they aren't over the moon about it, are like, yeah, I had a fine time at the theater, whatever. Like, for example, on Criticalist right now, it's still at like a 44%. So it's right there in that decent range in the middle, right? So it's like, it's not like it's getting a horrendous word of mouth from people that actually see it. It's just that no one's seeing it.
Do you want to know what the nail in the coffin for me to not go see it was?
What?
The commercial that had Mr. Beast in it.
That would do it. That'll do it for a lot of people. Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.